Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the story about Naruto. What if Naruto would release Chakra? Part 2. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So let's start the video. My precious Tor-chan. I miss you so much. The wife of the fire daimyo, Madame Shijimi, yelled out as she hugged her cat tightly in the mission's office, despite the cat looking like it was choking to death. You had me so worried, my little baby. No wonder it ran away, Naruto muttered. 3 scratches across the bridge of his nose, and many more on his hands. Sasuke had 3 on his cheek, 3 on his neck, and about as many on his hands as Naruto. I would too. Kind of makes you pity it, Hinata mumbled softly, having no scratches on her. Now Kakashi's Team 7, the Sandaime said, as he was looking over the documents in front of him. Your next duty is babysitting an elder's grandson, shopping in the neighboring village, and helping with the potato digging. You can also. I'm gonna stop you right there, Gigi, Naruto said suddenly. Everyone save for his team stared at him in utter shock for daring to interrupt the Hokage. You and I both know that this team is stronger than any genin team you have. We shouldn't be doing this crap. I agree, Sasuke said, crossing his arms. I think this is an incredible waste of valuable resources. After all, besides team training, coming up with strategies and combinations, all they had been doing since graduating was D-rank missions. You idiots. Iruka barked, sitting next to Sandaime, who just sighed. You are just rookies. Everyone starts off with simple duties and works their way up. I don't give a crap. We're not everyone. Naruto barked back. We get these crap missions I wouldn't even force academy students to do. This is not ninja work. Suddenly, Kakashi's fist bopped Naruto on the head, accompanied by the Jounin saying, Quiet, you. Naruto-kun, it seems I have to explain to you what these duties are all about, Sandaime said, puffing on his pipe. Listen, every day. We get all kinds of requests from people, ranging from babysitting to assassination. We rank the missions, and blah, 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 Naruto said, his arms crossed. But you've told us that genin gets both D and C rank missions. I know we're fresh out of the academy, but you know, as well as I do, that we can handle a C rank. Right, Sasuke, Hinata. I think so. I apologize, Kakashi mumbled, scratching the back of his head in embarrassment. The Sandaime, however, looked thoughtful and hummed while puffing on his pipe. He interlaced his fingers in front of his face and smirked. Very well. If you want it that much, I'll give you a C rank, and we'll see how you do. It's a protection mission of a certain individual, Sandaime announced, which visibly surprised Kakashi and Hinata, while Naruto and Sasuke smirked. I'll introduce the client now. Hey. Will you come in here? The door to the mission office slid open, revealing an old man who, judging by the scars on his hands, must have been a carpenter or something like that. In his hand was a sake bottle, and he took a swig from it as he looked them over. What's this? They're all a bunch of super brats, the man said, a drunken blush on his face. Especially the girl. She looks like she couldn't hurt a fly. Are you really a ninja? Hinata flinched and ducked her head. Seeing that she wasn't about to give a retort, Naruto and Sasuke came to her defense, glaring heatedly at him. Could kill you 5 times over before you could even blink, you old fart, Sasuke said coldly, and Naruto looked at Kakashi. Sensei, can I show him? Killing the person we're supposed to protect would cause us to fail the mission, Kakashi said simply, but Naruto didn't need to show him. They'd gotten their point across, judging by how the old man barely suppressed a flinch. He coughed into his fist. Anyway, I am the super bridge builder, Tazuna. I expect you to provide me with super protection until I get back to my country and complete the bridge. And so, later found Naruto, Sasuke, and Hinata walking toward the East Konoha gate, packed and ready. Naruto and Sasuke had everything in a scroll each, and Naruto had sealed Hinata's pack into another one, so she didn't have to carry anything. This is a C rank, so the worst we might face is bandits, Sasuke said, as they walked. However, I want none of you to let down your guard. Keep your senses sharp for anything out of the norm. Hinata. Hinata jumped at being addressed directly, and quickly answered with a, yes. During our journey to Wave Country, I want you to activate your Byakugan at regular intervals, and scout the surrounding area. Alright. Naruto. Naruto uttered, raising an eyebrow. I don't want you to go lazy, and stop molding chakra. I want you to sense the entire time. Your sensing ability is the best I've ever seen, and it doesn't eat more chakra than it takes for you to regenerate, so you can't complain about that. Don't slack off, keep sensing. Yeah, you've taken some kind of captain position, or something. Getting a bit ahead of yourself, are you, Sasuke-kun? The Hokage is the leader of the village. I need training, Sasuke said simply, which made Naruto twitch. Yeah, right. The one who's gonna be Hokage is me. Ha, in your dreams, maybe. Why you? I think you both have good chances of becoming Hokage, Hinata mumbled softly, which caused the 2 genin to stop glaring at each other, instead turning their heads to look at her. Hinata looked a bit startled to be getting so much attention, but gulped and continued. Why you both have such strength, despite your young age, and you both have your unique sets of leadership skills as Sasuke-kun. I think Naruto-kun has just as good a chance to become Hokage as you. Hinata, finished now, ducked her head, as though expecting Sasuke to react unfavorably to what she had just said. Therefore, he no doubt surprised her when he just gave a soft laugh of amusement. Of course, he said, crossing his arms. He wouldn't be worthy of being my rival, if he couldn't keep up with me, after all. But thanks for those kind words, Hinata, Naruto said with a grin, slinging an arm around her shoulders. Seriously, though, we need to do something about this shyness of yours, don't you think? I'm not shy, Hinata mumbled, beat-red at having Naruto touching her. You're gonna try to convince me that fish can fly, too? Naruto said, still grinning widely. He flashed her a thumbs up. Don't worry, though. Stick with us, and in a couple of weeks, you'll either be a happy-go-lucky jockster like me, or a cool, brooding type like Sasuke. Go with the jockster path, though. One Sasuke is enough. Oi, are you saying I'm annoying? Sasuke asked with a slight glare. Oh ho, not at all, Sasuke-kun. Funny how you would jump to that conclusion, though. Why, you. Hinata giggled softly at their antics, which made Naruto grin wider. They rendezvoused with Kakashi and Tazuna at the gate, and then set off toward Wave Country. As Sasuke had suggested, Naruto started molding chakra, and spread out his senses the second they left Konoha, and it was a good thing he did. Because he immediately picked up on 2 chakra sources in the trees to their left. He glanced at Sasuke, who caught his eye. They had long since reached the point where they could tell what the other was trying to tell them from simply looking into each other's eyes. Sasuke's eyes narrowed slightly, and he gave a small, barely noticeable nod, before moving over to Hinata. Hinata, don't use your Byakugan, he whispered so quietly that not even Kakashi would be able to hear them. We have a tail, and we don't want to spook them. Understood, Hinata whispered back. Sasuke was shocked to have seen her turn so serious, not at all her usual, shy self. No, he did see that she was the same, but she forced those traits back through sheer force of will. She looked at Tazuna. You Tazuna-san. What? You're from Wave Country, right? What about it? Do you have a ninja village? It was Kakashi who answered, no, not in Wave Country. Most other countries have them, but Wave Country is a bit too small for it. Don't worry, though. There wouldn't be any ninja combat in a C-rank mission. Sasuke pushed chakra into his eyes, as they passed a puddle in the road, then turned to look at Naruto, who nodded back at him, as they kept walking, Kakashi bringing up the rear. Suddenly, a ninja with a horde-carry headband came flying over Kakashi, a bladed chain connected to his clawed gauntlet. He landed between Kakashi and the Jounin and Tazuna, as the chain wrapped around the Jounin, tightening. Behind Kakashi stood another carry ninja with an identical gauntlet on his hand, which the chain was connected to. What? Kakashi uttered, as the 2 ninja both said, one down, and pulled the chain. Kakashi was torn to pieces by the chain, making Tazuna go wide-eyed, along with Hinata. Sasuke, showering and burning in his eyes, 1 Tomo in the left, and 2 in the right, looked at her. Hinata, protect Tazuna, he ordered, while Naruto was already flashing through hand seals. Doten. Doryuden, Earth Element. Earth Dragon Projectile. Naruto called out, as a dragon head made of earth rose from the ground, and turned to one of the carry ninja, opening its mouth, and spitting high-velocity mud projectiles at him. The ninja jumped, while Sasuke also flashed through seals. Kaden. Tukaku no Justu. He called out, spewing a massive ball of flame at the other ninja, who dodged, yanking the chain connecting the 2, and in doing so pulling him out of the way of the mud projectiles. The fireball engulfed the chain, instantly melting it, and separating the 2 ninja, who split off, circling around Naruto and Sasuke in order to head for Tazuna, which caused Hinata to stand protectively in front of him. Doten. Doryuhiki, Earth Elements. Earth Style Wall. Naruto called out after flashing through another chain of seals, slamming his hands down on the ground. One of the ninja, who was coming at Tazuna from behind, suddenly found himself stopped rather abruptly, as he ran straight into the earth wall that shot up in front of him. As soon as his head bounced off the wall, Naruto put his hand in a snake seal. Tsushiki no Justu, Wood Element. Cutting Technique. Naruto called, as a wooden blade sprouted from his hand. He spun, and flung the blade at the dazed carry ninja, piercing him in the shoulder. Gotcha. Naruto proclaimed triumphantly, putting his hand in a half-ram seal, and focusing his chakra. Sadatsu, grow. The carry ninja's eyes widened when the wood inside his body suddenly sprouted 5 thick spikes that extended to burst out of his body in a shower of blood, piercing many vital organs in the process. Naruto's eyes widened at seeing an actual person being hit by that dot. Up until now, all he had practiced on was straw practice dummies. There was so much blood. Well done, Naruto, came Kakashi's voice, making him look toward Tazuna, to see that Sasuke had moved to stand protectively in front of Hinata, and Kakashi was standing in front of him, holding the other carry ninja, who was unconscious, in a headlock. You guys reacted much better than I would have believed. Kakashi made to turn to Tazuna, but he stopped, and looked at Naruto, noticing that the blonde's hands were shaking slightly. Well, it's to be expected. It was his first kill, Kakashi thought, his gaze softening. But to do it at that age, I'll have to talk to him about it later. Kakashi turned to Tazuna and gave him a very serious look. Tazuna-san. Tazuna visibly flinched. Yes. I need to talk to you. Within moments, the Kiri ninja had been tied to a tree, and judging from the fact that he was glaring daggers at Naruto, he was awake. This guy is a Chunin rank ninja, one of the demon brothers of Kurigakure no Sato. They are ninjas known to keep fighting no matter what. How did you read our movements? The demon brother asked Kakashi. Not even your genin were taken by surprise. On a sunny day like this, when it hasn't rained in days, a water puddle shouldn't exist, Kakashi said simply. Besides, Naruto is a very accomplished censor. He no doubt detected you from the moment you started following us, and alerted his teammates. Why did you let the brats fight when you knew that? Tazuna asked. If I had wanted to, I could have killed these two instantly, but there was something I needed to find out who the target was for these two. What do you mean? Tazuna asked. Meaning, were they after you, or one of us? We haven't heard, but there are ninjas after you. Our mission was simply to protect you from thieves or gangs, Kakashi said, narrowing his eyes at Tazuna. This has now become at least a B-rank mission. This was supposed to be simple protection until you completed the bridge. Tazuna was quiet, and a sweat drop was visibly rolling down his temple. If it was known that ninja were after you, this mission would have been an expensive B rank. I'm sure you have a reason, but it causes problems when you lie about the mission details. We are now operating outside of our duties. Are we ready for this type of mission? Hinata asked, gulping. I suppose that, at this point, it would be customary for us to abandon the mission, Kakashi said slowly, nodding more to himself than to the others. Sensei Tazuna spoke up suddenly, catching Kakashi's attention. I have to talk to you. It's about this mission. You're right, this job is most likely outside of your duties. It turns out that a super dangerous man is after my life. Super dangerous man? Kakashi repeated, raising his only visible eyebrow. Who? You probably at least heard his name before, Tazuna said quietly. The wealthy shipping magnate is a man named Gatu. Gatu, from that Gatu company? Kakashi asked, his eyes widening in surprise. He's said to be one of the world's few extremely wealthy people. Yes, officially, he runs a large shipping company, Tazuna said with a nod. But, secretly, he sells drugs and other illegal items using ninja and gang members to take over businesses and countries. He's a super nasty man. It was about a year ago when he set his eyes on the wave country. Through money and violence, he quickly took control of the country's shipping industry. Gatu now has a monopoly on all business traffic in the country. The only thing he has to fear now is the completion of the bridge. And because you are building the bridge to the mainland, he won't hold a monopoly anymore, Hinata concluded, to which Tazuna nodded. So, those ninjas were hired by Gatu? Sasuke asked, and Tazuna nodded. But what I don't understand is if you knew ninjas could be after you, why did you hide that fact when you hired us? Kakashi wanted to know. Tazuna sighed. The wave country is super poor. Even Daimyo has no money. Of course, we don't have much money, either. Not enough for the expensive B-rank mission. Well, if you quit the mission now, I will definitely be killed, but don't worry about it. Tazuna said with a bright smile on his face. If I die, my cute 10-year-old grandson will just cry for a few days. Oh, yeah, and my daughter will live a sad, sad life, hating Konoha ninja forever. But it won't be your fault. Not at all. Kakashi twitched at that, scratching the plate on his aid. Then, he sighed and smiled at Tazuna, saying, well, I guess we have no choice. We will protect you, at least until you get back to your country. Tazuna smiled and thanked them profusely, but they could all see the victorious glint in his eyes. They set off, Kakashi in the front, Hinata and Tazuna in the middle, and Naruto and Sasuke bringing up the rear. Hey, Sasuke said softly, looking down at Naruto's hands. You're shaking. Still a bit shocked, I guess, Naruto mumbled, taking deep breaths. It's not like I've actually killed a man before. It was you or him, Sasuke said simply. Don't beat yourself up about it. Well, I know that, but my body doesn't seem to want to listen. It's not good to be shaking, especially now that we know that enemies are going to attack. Give me a minute, and I'll be fine, Naruto said, a small grin on his face. The group managed to make their way into Wave Country without encountering any more enemies. However, Naruto, Sasuke, and Hinata were always on alert, their senses sharp. As Naruto had said, his shaking had stopped, and he was ready for anything. If we're attacked again, it'll probably be a jounin, since the two Chunin were defeated, Naruto stated, as they walked, to which Kakashi nodded. Without a doubt. Naruto perked up, and in a flash he fished out a kunai, hurling it into a bush, making the others jump, save for Kakashi, who must have sensed it, as well. Naruto? Sasuke asked, tense. Kaworimi, huh? Naruto muttered, lowering his hand. His eyes closed, and he stretched out his senses. Everyone, get down. Kakashi ordered suddenly, ducking, just as Naruto detected the presence. Naruto grabbed Hinata and dropped, while Sasuke tackled Tazuna to the ground. A giant sword came flying through the air, passing through the space where the genins' necks would have been, before embedding itself in a tree, at which point a ninja landed on the hilt of the massive. The man wore striped pants, camo-patterned leg and arm warmers, and bandages wrapped around the lower half of his face. Tied sideways to his head was a Kiri Hittite. Well, Kakashi uttered, as they all got to their feet. If it isn't the Kurigakure missing nin, Momochi Zabuza-kun. Naruto, Sasuke uttered, as Naruto narrowed his eyes. Be careful, guys. This guy's got as much chakra as I do. And it's dark, very dark, and powerful, Naruto muttered. Hinata formed a few hand seals, then called Byakugan. Veins were visible around her eyes, as her Jujutsu activated, and her eyes widened when she looked at Zabuza. He's right. This chakra. Sasuke, curious, activated his Sharingan, and looked at Zabuza, his eyes widening, as well. No, it's only a little, but his chakra stores are larger than yours, Naruto. Zabuza spoke, turning around so that he was facing them. He lowered himself into a crouch, resting his elbows on his knees, as he watched them. Sharingan, Byakugan, and a skilled sensor. Not to mention Sharingan no Kakashi. No wonder why the demon brothers lost. Sorry, but the old man is mine. Sharingan. Naruto and Sasuke uttered in unison, amaze, as Kakashi reached for his headband. Surround and protecting Tazuna, Kakashi ordered. Do not enter the fight. That's the teamwork here. Zabuza. First Kakashi slowly lifted his headband to reveal his left eye, which had a scar through it. And in it was a Sharingan fight with me. I already got to see the famous Sharingan. I'm honored, Zabuza said, and it was evident that he was smirking behind his bandages. When I was in the Kurigakure Anbu, I kept a handbook. It included information about you. It said, the man who has copied over 1,000 copy ninja Kakashi. Sasuke, Naruto muttered. I thought the Sharingan was in the Uchiha bloodline. Why the hell does he have it? No idea, Sasuke said, narrowing his own pair of Sharingan eyes. But I intend to find out. Let's end all the talking, Zabuza said, as he reached down, grabbing the hilt of the sword he was standing on. I have to kill that old man. Immediately, the three genin moved to stand protectively around Tazuna, ready for anything. But Kakashi, it seems I have to beat you first. Zabuza kicked off the tree, yanking his sword out, as he flew toward the lake in front of them, landing on it. He released a large amount of chakra, causing the water to start swirling around him. No, ninja art. Hit and miss technique, Zabuza muttered, as a thick mist rolled in, causing him to disappear from view. He'll come after me first, Kakashi announced. Momochi Zabuza, as a ninja of Kiri, was known as an expert in silent killing. You don't even notice until you're already dead. It's not like I can use the Sharingan perfectly. You guys, be careful. Suddenly, the mist got even thicker, and Zabuza's voice was heard coming from all around them. 8 choices: larynx, spine, lungs, liver, jugular, subclavian artery, kidneys, heart. Which one should I go after? Both Kakashi and Zabuza started flooding the area with killing intent. It was so much that Naruto felt every single muscle in his body tense, and he couldn't help but shiver slightly. He turned his head to look at Hinata, to see that her Byakugan was fading, and her entire body was shaking. She was also visibly sweating in fright. Hinata, Naruto said suddenly, catching her attention. He smiled when she looked at him. Stay strong. This is what he wants, so keep your guard up. Sasuke, Kakashi spoke suddenly, and Naruto turned his head to see that Sasuke had been shaking, as well. Don't worry. I'll protect you guys with my life, their sensei said, as he turned his head to smile at them. I don't let my comrades die. We'll see. That Zabuza's voice came from between Tazuna and the genin. It's over. Zabuza wasn't fast enough, however. In a flash, Sasuke had been unsheathed, and he spun faster than Naruto had ever seen him move. The blade flashed, and Zabuza's head was suddenly separated from his body, his eyes wide. The body and the head, however, exploded in a shower of water, and Naruto's eyes widened when he picked up on Zabuza's chakra. Sensei, behind you, he called out, but too late, as Zabuza's massive sword had already cut Kakashi in half. Only for Kakashi's body to disperse into water, as well, another Kakashi appearing behind Zabuza with a kunai at his neck. Don't move, Kakashi ordered. It's over. TCH, Naruto thought, gritting his teeth. This damn mist is covered in his chakra. I can hardly even sense Kakashi through it, he thought, then looked at Hinata. Hinata, can you see anything? No, Naruto-kun, there's too much chakra in the air. Same here, Sasuke muttered. Then, his eyes widened when Zabuza spoke to Kakashi. Sensei, behind you. Kakashi's eyes widened when yet another Zabuza appeared behind Kakashi, the Zabuza in front of him dissolving into water. He ducked under his sword swing, but Zabuza didn't even pause when his sword dug into the ground. Instead, he spun, switching his grip, and booted Kakashi in the face, sending him flying through the air. Zabuza immediately pulled his sword out of the ground, and ran off, jumping toward the spot, where Kakashi splashed into the water. As Kakashi surfaced, Zabuza landed behind him, and flashed through hand seals. Suro no Jutsu, water prison technique, he announced, as the water shot up to envelop Kakashi in a ball, Zabuza holding his hand in it to keep it going. You tried to escape to the water. Big mistake. Now I have you in an inescapable prison. Zabuza said, chuckling. It's tougher if you can't move, you know. Now, Kakashi, we can finish things later. First, I'll take care of them, he said, as he put his hand in a half-ram seal. Out of the water rose a Mizubunshin, who walked onto the shore, chuckling softly. Wearing those 8, and acting like ninja, the clone said, smirking behind his bandages. A real ninja is someone who has survived numerous brushes with death. Only when you're good enough to be listed in my handbook can you start calling yourself a ninja. You are not ninja, just brats. Take Tazuna-san, and run. Kakashi yelled suddenly. You have no chance of beating him as long as he's keeping me trapped in this prison. He can't move. Mizubunshin can't go very far from his real body. Just run away now. Naruto slowly turned his head to look at Sasuke, who smirked and nodded. Then he looked to Hinata, who gulped but steeled herself nonetheless, nodding as well. Run away. TCH, Kakashi-sensei, you underestimate us, Naruto said, a grin spreading on his face. A Mizubunshin only possesses 1/10 of the original's power. Do you think we are that weak? Besides, the success of this fight depends on you, Sasuke said. If we run away now, Zabuza will just kill you, then pick us off one by one at his leisure. Besides, those who abandon their comrades are even worse than trash, right? Tazuna-san, Naruto said, ignoring Kakashi's wide-eyed look, instead looking at the old man, who sighed. Well, I planted this seed myself. I'm not going to say that I desire to live so much that I'd stop you. I'm sorry, guys. Fight, as much as you want. Zabuza's clone, however, just started laughing, grinning slightly. You guys will never grow up. Going to keep playing ninja, eh? When I was your age these hands were already dyed red with blood. So, Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow. What, that makes you a ninja? That just makes you a psychopathic killer, you eyebrowless freak, he exclaimed, raising his hand to point at Zabuza. Don't talk, as if you know us. Talking trash is for when the battle is over. Sasuke, combo 27. Ha, right. Sasuke said, as they both started flashing through hand seals. Naruto ended in a snake seal, and a wooden pole shot out of the ground in front of Sasuke, heading past the Zabuza clone, and then curving around him, intending on wrapping around him. The clone, despite the shock of seeing a Milkutin use, leapt into the air to avoid it, which was a big mistake, as the wood shot upward, and wrapped around him, trapping him, just as Sasuke finished his hand seals. Naruto Sasuke combo jutsu. Naruto Sasuke combo technique. They both announced, Naruto grinning, and Sasuke blowing a stream of flame at the wood, which shot up along it to encase the entire wooden pole, and the Zabuza clone in flames, yakiniku, grilled meat. The flames burned so hot that when the clone died, the water didn't drop to the ground, instead turning into steam, and rising into the air. The real Zabuza uttered in amazement. Milkutin ninjutsu, eh? That was unexpected. However, he put his hand in another half-ram seal, and 10 more Mizubunshin rose from the water, walking onto the shore. Sasuke, you can do it, right? Naruto asked his friend, who immediately knew what he was referring to, and nodded, unsheathing him again. Good. I'll clear a path. Go. Sasuke shot off toward the clones, who all raised their swords, and made an attack. Wood spikes shooting from the ground forced them to dodge, however, allowing Sasuke to pass through unscathed. He shot toward the real Zabuza, cocking his arm back, then swung. Zabuza, however, ducked under the swing, but Sasuke wasn't done, spinning, and throwing a kunai at Zabuza's head, which forced him to dodge out of the way, pulling his hand out of the water prison in the process. The clones, seeing this, made to go after Sasuke, but that provided enough of a distraction for Naruto to focus his chakra into the ground, and cause more wooden spikes to shoot out of it, impaling, and destroying the clones. You brat. Zabuza yelled at Sasuke, reaching up to grab the sword on his back, only for Kakashi's sandal to plant itself into his face, knocking him back. The opponent is me, Kakashi said, his Sharingan narrowed dangerously. Zabuza bounced on the water, landing in a crouch, and rising to a stand. I got distracted, and released the... Wrong, Kakashi said. You were forced to release it, he corrected, which made Zabuza twitch. Naruto, Sasuke, good job. Don't worry, though. I'll take it from here. Zabuza looked like he was gritting his teeth, as Sasuke nodded, and sheathed him, running past Kakashi, and back to Naruto, Hinata, and Tazuna, whereupon he gave Naruto a high five. I'll tell you now, I don't fall for the same twice, Kakashi said, staring calmly at Zabuza. What will you do now? TCH. Zabuza uttered, and leapt back, before starting a long chain of seals, which were perfectly mimicked by Kakashi. Suiuda no Jutsu, water element, water dragon projectile technique. They both called out in perfect unison, as 2 dragons formed out of the water between them, and charged at each other, crashing into each other, and exploding. That many seals, and he copied them flawlessly, Naruto muttered, bracing himself, as the water washed up onto the shore, and crashed into them. He turned to look at Sasuke. Can you do that? Not at this stage of the Sharingan, no, Sasuke said, shaking his head, as he saw the two Jounin clash right underneath, where the two water dragons had crashed into each other, Kakashi blocking Zabuza's sword with a kunai. Strange, Zabuza thought, narrowing his eyes, as he stared into the Sharingan. What's going on? He pushed off and jumped back, Kakashi mimicking his actions perfectly, as he tried circling around him, then stopped and raised his hands to perform the Kurigakure dot. My movements, Zabuza thought, as he lowered one of his hands, Kakashi doing the same. He's completely reading them. Kakashi finished his line of thought, making his eyes whiten. What? Did he read my mind? Zabuza thought, feeling sweat breaking out on his forehead, placing his hands in a seal. Damn. That freaky eyes are pissing me off, right? Zabuza twitched. How all you're doing is copying me. You can't beat me, you monkey bastard. Both Kakashi and Zabuza exclaimed at once, and that really made Zabuza's eyes whiten. Damn you. I'll make it so you can never open that mouth again. Zabuza growled out, flashing through hand seals. He stopped, however, amazed, as he saw himself from behind Kakashi. That's me. That's not possible. Is this one of his ninjutsu? Kakashi, to his surprise, finished the chain of seals Zabuza had been doing, and called out, Suiten. Daibakufu no Jutsu, water element. Grand waterfall technique. As his Sharingan started spinning, and the water in front of him came to life, and rose up, rushing at Zabuza. What? Impossible. Zabuza roared, as the water smashed into him, sending him through a large amount of trees with the force of it. I'm the one doing this, yet I can't keep up, he thought in a panic, right before getting washed into a tree, after which his arms and legs were pierced by kunai. It's over, came Kakashi's voice from above, making him look up to see Kakashi crouching on a tree branch. How can you see the future? Zabuza asked, still in shock. Yeah, your future is death, Kakashi proclaimed, raising a kunai. Before he could use it, however, two needles came flying out of nowhere, and pierced Zabuza's neck. Zabuza's eyes were wide, as he collapsed to the ground, and everyone looked up to another tree, to see a kid around the genin's age, wearing a mask that looked almost like an Anbu mask, which had the carry markings on the forehead. You're right. He's dead, the boy spoke in a very feminine voice, which matched his feminine body. Who's the gender-confused mask boy? Naruto asked loudly, displaying his usual tact, as Kakashi jumped down to Zabuza's body, checking his pulse. Thank you very much, the masked ninja said, bowing. I have been searching for the opportunity to kill Zabuza for a long time. That mask, Kakashi said, looking up at him. You're Kiri Hunter Nin. Hunter Nin. Hinata repeated in confusion, looking to her teammates for explanations. Hunter Nin are a special division of Anbu, Sasuke explained. Their duty is to hunt down and kill missing nin tch to get a rank like that at that age. There are some great ninjas out there, eh? Naruto asked, a grin on his face. It'd be nice to fight him. The Hunter Nin jumped down and slung Zabuza's arm over his shoulder, picking him up. The battle is now over, and I must dispose of this body, since it seems to be a body with many secrets, he said, putting his hand in a half-ram seal. Farewell. The wind started kicking up around him so fast that it was howling, and then, in the blink of an eye, he and Zabuza's corpse were gone. Kakashi breathed a sigh of relief, pulling down his headband to cover his Sharingan, and Sasuke and Hinata deactivated their own eyes. Now we have to get to Tsuna's-san home, Kakashi announced to his genin. Let's go. Super thanks, guys. Tazuna said brightly. Come over to my house and relax for a while. Just as he said that, Kakashi suddenly froze and tipped forward, unable to move. I was wondering when that would happen, Naruto said, unsurprised, as he walked up to Kakashi, crouching down in front of him. Your chakra stores are lower than mine, and you're using a transplanted eye. That should drain you pretty quickly. Sasuke, give him a hand here. Why? Too weak to carry him yourself. Shut your face hole and give me a hand. Hey, Sasuke, Naruto said, as he stood over Kakashi, who was laying on a futon in Tsuna's house. Should I be worried that you'll end up like that if you use the Sharingan for an extended period of time? I know what you're trying to do, Sasuke said, his arms crossed, as he took off his sandals. And it's not going to work. Oh? Then what am I trying to do? You're trying to rile me up. You have already shown that you know that the only reason the Sharingan drained Sensei like that was because his body and chakra system are not built for the Sharingan, so you already know you don't have to worry about something like that at it. Huh? Naruto said, blinking, as he cupped his ear. Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you over this uncopyable Mokuta ninjutsu I have. Just as Sasuke knew how to annoy Naruto by calling him stupid, Naruto knew perfectly well how to annoy Sasuke by mentioning the fact that he'd be unable to copy Naruto's bloodline. Therefore, it came as no surprise to those who knew them that they suddenly got involved in a glaring match, in which one could almost see the sparks flying between them, as they tried to mutilate each other with nothing but their eyes. By the way, Kakashi-sensei, who was that masked ninja? Hinata asked, trying to take Naruto and Sasuke's attention away from each other and onto the matter at hand. That's the mask worn by the Kurigakure Special Hunter Nin Squad, Kakashi said, completely unable to move. They are also known as body erasers. Their duty is to completely dispose of the body without a trace. A ninja's body has within it secrets of the village's ninjutsu. Information on different chakra types, herbs, and other things that will reveal information about the village. For example, if I died, the secrets of the Sharingan could be revealed. If you're not careful, there's the danger that the enemy will steal your dot. A ninja's body can reveal important information. So, by killing and disposing of the missing nin who have abandoned their village, the hunter nin protect the information from getting out. They are the specialists who guard their village's secrets. No sound, no smell, that is a ninja's end. Should you wait end, Naruto commented, giving a low whistle. I need to get some sleep, Kakashi announced suddenly. The longer I rest, the quicker I'll be back to full health. Alright, I'll keep my senses up, Naruto said, molding chakra. Sasuke sighed, as he lay back on the floor, hands behind his head, muttering, something tells me this following week will be boring. Naruto looked around, and saw that Hinata had moved away from Kakashi, sitting, and facing the wall. Raising an eyebrow, Naruto walked over, and plopped down next to her, staring at her curiously. Hey, you alright? Hinata jumped, and snapped her head toward Naruto, her eyes wide. She had no doubt been so wrapped up in her own thoughts that she hadn't even noticed him. Yes, I'm fine, Hinata mumbled, turning her head to look down at the floor. The blind man could see that something is bothering you, Naruto said. Now, we're teammates. We're supposed to rely on each other. What's wrong? Hinata was quiet for a moment, probably contemplating whether to tell Naruto or not. Then, she sighed and said, I am not sure if I belong on this team. And what brought this on? Naruto asked, tilting his head to the side. I'm not very strong, Naruto-kun, I'm weak, and you, Sasuke-kun, and Kakashi-sensei, you're all so strong, and I'm not. Naruto hummed, as he stared at Hinata, who looked distraught. He waited for a few seconds, then asked, and? This caused Hinata to blink in confusion. What? And so what? Naruto said, shrugging. Do you think Sasuke and I were born this strong? No way. Training is the key. If you feel you're weak, then get stronger, that's all there is to it. But it's not that simple, Naruto-kun. You're making it sound so easy. It's only hard if you make it hard, Naruto said simply, as he got to his feet. Tell you what, come with Sasuke and me when we go training tomorrow. We'll get you strong. For some reason, Hinata couldn't help but feel a sense of dread upon hearing that. Something about the glint in Naruto's eye had been incredibly dangerous. Suddenly, Kakashi, who had just fallen asleep, shot up in his futon, covering his face with his hand, as he appeared deep in thought. What's wrong, sensei? Naruto asked, as he sat down next to Sasuke, who was looking at their sensei curiously, as well. Huh? Kakashi uttered, as he looked up at his genin. Oh, well, body erasing teams usually dispose of the body of the person they killed right there. But when Hunter Nin took the body away, Naruto muttered, his eyes narrowing, as he made the connection. Yeah. If he needed proof of his work, he could have just taken the head, Kakashi said, stroking his chin. And the weapon that he used to kill Zabuza. Sasuke's eyes widened. No way. Yeah, exactly, Kakashi said, nodding. What are you guys talking about? Tazuna asked curiously. Most likely Zabuza is still alive, Kakashi announced, making Tazuna and Hinata go wide-eyed. Sasuke said, scratching his head in thought. It's possible that he just put Zabuza in a momentary state of death. Indeed. First, he took the body of the much heavier Zabuza with him. Second, he used a weapon that has a low probability of killing, Kakashi said with a sigh of resignation. These 2 points indicate that his motive was not to kill Zabuza, but to save him. We can't ignore that possibility. Aren't you thinking too much? Tazuna asked nervously. Hunter Nin are supposed to kill missing Nin. If he was even a Hunter Nin at all, Naruto muttered, crossing his arms. But whether it's true or not, the possibility is there, so it's better to be safe than sorry. Exactly. So, we will prepare before it's too late. Plus, whether Zabuza is dead or alive, there are no assurances that Gato hasn't hired an even stronger ninja. Therefore, Naruto, Sasuke. The two friends straightened up upon being addressed by Kakashi, and gave him their full attention. You two are very strong, and you're getting stronger every day. Hinata has massive amounts of untapped potential. Can I trust you two to release it while I'm recovering? I'm way ahead of you, sensei. Naruto said with a grin, flashing him a thumbs up. This is getting fun. That's not fun, a new voice came, as a kid, looking no older than 8, entered the house. Oh, Inari. Tazuna exclaimed happily. Where were you? Welcome back, Grandpa, the boy, Inari said, as he walked up to Tazuna, giving him a hug. Inari, Tazuna's daughter, Tsunami, said hello to these people. They are ninjas who protect Grandpa. Inari turned his head to look at Kakashi and his genin for a good long while. Then, he turned to his mother and pointed at the ninja. Mom, they're going to die. What was that? Naruto barked. There's no way you can win against Gato, Inari said adamantly. Words like that should be saved for after the fighting is done, Sasuke said, glaring lightly at Inari. Otherwise, you look like a fool afterward. Listen, Sasuke, and I can't lose to a guy like Gato, Naruto said, slinging his arm around Sasuke's shoulder. We're gonna be heroes one day. We're not gonna go down fighting a chump like him. Hey, let go, you fool. What are you, stupid? Inari asked, staring coldly at Naruto. There's no such thing as a hero. Naruto froze for a second, his eyes going cold. Then, he muttered, Sasuke, hold me back. As ordered, Sasuke grabbed Naruto from behind, just as the blonde made to charge at Inari. Why, you little. If you don't want to die, you should leave, Inari muttered, turning around and walking off. Where are you going, Inari? Tazuna asked. To look at the ocean from my room. With that, Inari left, and Naruto glared at the closed door for a good 5 minutes before he turned away. Alright. Naruto exclaimed the following day, as he stood in a clearing in the woods near Tazuna's house with Sasuke and Hinata. I hope you're rested, because you're going to need the energy, Hinata. First of all, we're going to improve your speed and power. How are we going to do that? Hinata asked nervously, as Naruto walked up to her. First, lose the jacket, he said, reaching out and unzipping Hinata's now red-faced Hinata's jacket and pulling it off her, revealing her mesh shirt and short tank top underneath, along with her already developing chest. It'll only get in the way. You need mobility. Now, excuse me. Naruto turned away, and Sasuke did the same, both of them with small blushes on their faces. If one could read minds, they would have heard them both think she should never have been allowed to cover those up in perfect unison. Then, Naruto cleared his throat and turned back to Hinata, who was still blushing furiously. Alright, we're going to help you progress using the same method we used to get stronger and faster, he said, skillfully avoiding staring at her chest, as he reached into his right kunai pouch, taking out 2 black bracelets, identical to the ones he wore on his own wrists. Put these on, he said, handing them to Hinata, who did as ordered. Those are chakra weights. Currently, they weigh a pound each. The more chakra you pour into them, the heavier they become. You want them to be heavy enough to make you sluggish, but not heavy enough to render you unable to move. Once you have added the desired weight, we will be doing some sparring. This will help you develop muscles that won't inhibit you in your fighting style. Your musculature, as it grows stronger, will adapt to your movements. Understood? Yes, Naruto-kun. Be careful when you add chakra to the bracelets. Too much, and you'll be unable to move, and Naruto grinned, looking a bit like a sadistic teacher, taking pleasure in his student's plight. Neither Sasuke nor I feel like removing any weight from them. Hinata kept at that, but nonetheless channeled chakra into her bracelets, being extremely careful by channeling a little at a time, to make sure they didn't get too heavy. Once she reached a weight she felt satisfied with, she nodded to Naruto, his eyes narrowed ever so slightly. Throw a punch, he ordered, and Hinata did so. He shook his head. Too light. You need to struggle to maintain the same speed and mobility you have without the weights. Increase it. Yes, Naruto-kun. Hinata channeled more chakra into the bracelets, and deemed herself ready. Once more she was ordered to throw a punch, and once more Naruto ordered her to increase the weights. This time, Naruto seemed satisfied, and Hinata stood there, feeling like her arms were going to get pulled out of their sockets from the weight. Alright, Naruto said, clapping his hands together. It's time for you to spar with Sasuke, he announced, which made Hinata's eyes widen. Sasuke is a much more versatile Taijutsu fighter. I'm stronger than him, but I'm more of a brawler. My style is very unorthodox for ninja, so fighting me will probably just prepare you against fighting only me. Sasuke, however, has a style more closely resembling a traditional ninja style. So, you're fighting him. I wouldn't go easy on you, though, Sasuke said, walking up to stand next to Naruto, smirking. If I did, that would be insulting. You want to get stronger, right? Yes. Alright, then get ready, Naruto said, as he moved to stand between them. This is a Taijutsu only spar. That means no chakra usage whatsoever. Although, you are allowed to use your Taijutsu, and the Juken is allowed. Sasuke, he said, and held out his hand. Sasuke nodded and removed his, tossing it to Naruto, who raised it into the air. Alright, are you both ready? Then fight. Ouch, Sasuke muttered, as he held his side, while Naruto was treating a few bruises on Hinata's arms. She had been very good at dodging Sasuke's strikes aimed at her body, but she wasn't capable of dodging them entirely, and ended up getting hit on the arms. She had surprisingly managed to get in a few strikes, as well, however, and one of them hurt like hell. She had hit him with a Juken strike right between his ribs, so she didn't just hit his chakra point, but also hurt him physically. I'm weak, she says, Naruto muttering, shaking his head in amusement. Hinata, do you know how many of the graduated genin would have been able to land a hit on Sasuke, except for me? No, Hinata mumbled, her head bowed. She was too kind, in Naruto's opinion. She had already apologized profusely for hurting Sasuke several times, even though he had just waved her off every time, and still looked apologetic. No one, Naruto informed her with a grin. You're strong, Hinata. But you can get stronger. Just keep training with us, and we'll get you up to Jounin level in no time. I hope so. That's not a Jounin attitude. Hell, it's not even a ninja attitude, Sasuke muttered, glancing at Hinata out of the corner of his eye, as it hurt too much to turn his body. Use more force when you speak. Naruto, show her. Right, Naruto said, grinning at Hinata. What you do is just gather energy in your chest, take a deep breath, and then let it out. He instructed, pumping his fist. Yes. I'm certain I will. Say something like that. That I couldn't, Hinata mumbled, poking her fingertips together. Such a thing. True, that might be a bit too advanced for you at this stage. Alright, then, how about a yes? Say it with guts. What my moronic friend is trying to say is that you should say it with as much energy as you can muster. A non-stuttering yes will do, however, Sasuke explained. Naruto nodded in confirmation. Then, he paused for a few seconds, followed by him gritting his teeth and snapping his head in Sasuke's direction to give him a murderous glare. Hey, Sasuke. What's with the moronic friend? Want me to beat the crap out of you? It only took 4 seconds to register this time. You're getting faster, Sasuke said with a smirk. The smirk vanished, however, when Naruto ran up to him and kicked him where Hinata had hit him with the Juken strike. That was the scene Kakashi showed up to. Naruto was gritting his teeth and glaring down at Sasuke, who was rolling on the ground, clutching his side, while Hinata sat to the side, giggling at their antics. Kakashi leaned against his crutches, tilting his head to the side in confusion. Is this what counts as a training session for you guys? He asked, catching the attention of his genin. Oh, sensei, Naruto said, his anger fading completely, a grin plastered on his face. We've engaging Hinata's strength, and we're taking a break right now. I see you really look like you're relaxing, Kakashi muttered, sweat dripping. Anyway, I remembered something I was going to ask you. Have any of you learned a chakra exercise called tree climbing? It's a basic chakra exercise in the Hyuga clan. Chakra control is essential, so we'll learn it at an early age, Hinata mumbled, to which Kakashi nodded, then looked to the 2 males of the team. Naruto, Sasuke. Jiji taught us a couple of years ago, Naruto said, nodding, which made Kakashi's eyes widen. You got Hokage-sama to take time out of his busy schedule to teach it to you? He asked in surprise, but Sasuke, who had recovered by now, gave a scoff of amusement. More like blackmailing him, he said, smirking. Naruto got bored and wanted to learn something new. Since the Hokage is the greatest ninja in the village, Naruto figured he must know something we could learn, so he threatened that if he didn't teach us, Naruto would go ballistic in his office and throw all his paperwork out the window. Kakashi's sweat dropped again when he saw Naruto's proudly grinning face. Blackmailing the Hokage by threatening to force him to either go out and collect all his paperwork or redo it, threatening my Icha paradise that Naruto is good at finding people's weaknesses and exploiting them. Shaking his head, Kakashi cleared his throat. Anyway, Tazuna-sen is going to start working on the bridge again tomorrow, and I need one of you to protect him while I'm recovering. I can do it, Sasuke volunteered. That way, Naruto can focus on Hinata's training. And the day after that, Naruto can protect him while I take over the training. Sounds like a plan, Kakashi said with an approving nod. If something happens, I want you to shoot up a flare, so everyone else can come help. I'm so tired, Hinata mumbled near the end of the week. She had been through non-stop training even since they started. When Naruto and Sasuke said they were going to work her to the bone, they weren't exactly exaggerating. Currently, everyone was at the dinner table, eating. I'm so sore, I can hardly even keep my food down. Oh, you gonna puke? Sasuke asked, a hint of interest in his voice. I did that once, too. No shame in it. No, I'm fine. You really need to eat, though. You need fat to convert to muscle mass, after all. Where's Naruto? Kakashi asked, blinking. His body was already much better, and he could move around without a problem. In fact, he was good, as new now. Usually, he'd be the first to the dinner table. He's still out training. Damn machine. He can keep going for days, Sasuke muttered. In fact, he has been going for days, ever since that Kaiser story. When Sasuke spoke that name, Inari, who was sitting across from Sasuke, tensed up and looked ready to leave the table. Since Sasuke didn't mention it again, however, he stayed but kept his head down. But even Naruto has a limit, Kakashi said slowly. It would be bad if he used up too much chakra. Wouldn't surprise me if he had. The useless moron is probably dead by now, Sasuke said, shrugging. He didn't mean it, however. He knew Naruto would never die from chakra exhaustion. It was not a spectacular enough way to die for him. I wanted to ask you this earlier, but Tazuna muttered, giving Kakashi a confused look. Why are you still here, even when I lied to you about this mission? To abandon your duty is not courageous. Below the courageous, there is nothing, Kakashi said simply. Those were the previous Hokage's words. That is the way of the shinobi. Shinobi don't move because of money alone. Just then, the door opened, and Naruto, sweaty, dirty, and panting, came in, a tired grin on his face. You've worn yourself out again, moron, Sasuke said, giving Naruto a glance. You look like you can barely stand, let alone move. I think I'm operating more on willpower than anything else right now, Naruto muttered, slouching up to the table and taking a seat. Without another word, his head dropped, impacting hard with the table, which made everyone jump. I'd rather just go to sleep right now. But first, some grub. I'm also super worn out from today's bridge work, Tazuna said, smiling brightly. At any rate, the bridge is almost complete. Naruto-kun, father, don't overdo it, okay? Tsunami said in stern concern, but the two just kept smiling. They sat in silence for a while, and Naruto noticed Inari staring at him intently, tears welling up in his eyes. Then, Inari snapped. Why do you guys bother so hard? No matter how hard you train, you're still no match for Gatu's men. No matter what glorious claims you make, or how hard you work, when facing the strong, the weak will only end up getting killed. The grin faded from Naruto's face, and the blonde gave Inari a long, almost bored stare. Whatever. I'm not like you. I'd hate to be like you. You don't know anything about this country, yet you're being so nosy. Inari yelled. What the hell do you know about me? I'm different from you. You're always clowning around, and acting so cheerful. You don't know how hard life can be. Now, the bored look faded, and Naruto's eyes, for the first time in years, turned an icy blue that no one had ever seen before. Ah, so I should be like you, then? Cry, and act like the star of some great tragedy? He asked coldly. Then, it was, as though a fire had ignited in his eyes, as he gave Inari one of his fiercest glares, one that he didn't even use on Sasuke. Then keep crying forever, you little sissy. The tears started flowing from Inari's eyes again, and he sat there, trembling, as Naruto stood up, and made to walk away, only for his knees to give out. Sasuke was out of his seat in an instant, catching Naruto before his knees even hit the floor, which made Naruto laugh. Aha, sorry, Sasuke, guess I did overdo it. TCH, you idiot, get some rest. You're probably going to need it tomorrow, Sasuke said, as he helped Naruto get to the guest room. Naruto, still tired and sore, got out of his futon and got dressed, his eyes half-lidded, as he went through his morning stretches. He gave a very loud yawn as he left the guest room and made his way toward the kitchen, only to stop outside the living room and turn to look inside it. Tsunami and Inari were on the floor, Inari helping his mother with her knitting. This is a surprise, Naruto said tiredly. You're not usually up this early. Early, Naruto-kun? Tsunami said, blinking. It's noon. Naruto blinked, as well as he stared at the tsunami, before looking out the window to see that, indeed, the sun was shining brightly. His eyes widened. I overslept, he exclaimed, clutching his head. I've never overslept in my life. Sensei said you should rest. No time for rest. I need to be out there, Naruto exclaimed, rushing off. I'm off. Naruto ran out of the house, and into the woods, taking a shortcut to the bridge. As he jumped from branch to branch in the trees, however, he stopped suddenly, and looked down toward the road to his right. There was a boar next to the road, and it was cut up badly. He looked around, and saw several cuts in the trees, leading toward Tazuna's house. Tazuna said that Gatu has 2 bodyguards who specialize in Iijutsu, Naruto thought, narrowing his eyes. TCH, they're not very subtle, are they? Meanwhile, Inari was in his house, trembling. 2 men had just come in, and kidnapped his mother, and he had been powerless to do anything. I don't want to die, I'm afraid, he thought, crying to himself. I'm sorry, Mom. You little sissy. Naruto's voice echoed in his head suddenly, making his eyes widen. Cry, and act like the star of some great tragedy. He's probably sick, and tired of crying, came Kakashi's voice next. Then keep crying forever, you little sissy. He knows what it means to be truly strong, just like your dad. As Inari slowly lowered his hands from his face to look at them, the voice of his dead father, Kaiza, echoed in his head. If it's truly precious, even if you lose your life, you must protect it with these 2 arms. They're all so incredible, so cool, so strong, Inari thought, wiping his eyes. Then, he stood up, a look of determination on his face, no longer crying. Will I also be able to become strong, Dad? With that, he ran out of the house, where he saw the 2 swordsmen leading his mother away. Wait. He yelled angrily, which made the 3 stop, and turn to him. Inari? Tsunami yelled in distress. It's that kid, the eye-patched swordsman said. Get away from my mom. Inari cried, and charged at the 2 swordsmen, who scoffed, and thumbed their swords out of their sheaths. Then, they dashed forward, slicing Inari into 3 pieces. Their eyes widened, however, when instead of Inari, they had cut a wooden doll who looked exactly like him. Kaworimi no Justu? One of the swordsmen asked, his eyes wide, as he looked towards Tsunami, to see that Naruto had arrived, holding Inari in his arms. Sorry I'm late, Naruto announced, setting Inari down next to Tsunami, grinning. But, you know, heroes usually show up at the last second, so it's alright. Naruto, Inari muttered, staring at Naruto in shock, which got him a grin from the blonde ninja. Great job, Inari. Thanks to you distracting them, I was able to save your mom. Well, if it isn't one of the loser ninja Tazuna hired, the eye-patched swordsman said, scoffing. The 2 charged at Naruto, which made Inari's eyes widen. Are you going to be alright? The boy asked in concern, while Naruto just looked calm, as ever. He slowly dragged his foot against the wooden planks beneath him, a smirk on his face, as he tapped his foot against it. Suddenly, two blunt wooden poles grew out of the wood at great speed, smashing straight into the swordsmen's chins, snapping their heads back with the force. They stumbled back, straight into two more Naruto, who raised their hands. Their raised hands contorted, and transformed into wooden fists twice their normal size. The swordsmen only had the time to give quick heaps, before the fists smashed into their faces, knocking them out cold. Once the swordsmen were tied up, and left hanging upside down from a tree, Naruto casually brushed non-existent dust off his hands, and gave a grin. Piece of cake. How did you know those swordsmen were coming here? Inari asked. Oh, there was a cut-up boar in the forest, and a lot of cuts on the trees leading here. I got a bad feeling, so I turned back. Lucky I did, eh? Naruto said, as the grin faded, to be replaced by a soft smile. Ah, sorry, Inari, about yesterday I called you a sissy, but you're obviously not one, he said, and put his hand on Inari's head, the grin returning once more. You're strong. Inari's eyes widened, and tears started welling up in his eyes. Then, muttering, damn it, he ducked his head, and wiped his eyes. I decided I wasn't going to cry anymore. You're going to make fun of me, and call me a crybaby. I'd never stoop to such a low-class insult. Tear-shedding baby wimp, maybe, Naruto said, shrugging. Then he grinned at Inari again. But that doesn't apply here. It's okay to cry when you're happy, Inari. That did it. Inari started crying again, as Naruto turned away, sighing. Oh well, if they attacked here, then the bridge is probably in danger. Sasuke can handle things, but it'd be bad if he hogged the spotlight. It might get to his head. I can count on you here, right? Yup, Inari said immediately, once more wiping his eyes. Alright, Naruto is blasting off. With that, Naruto took off. Before the encounter Naruto had with the swordsmen, Sasuke, Hinata, Kakashi, and Tazuna had just made it to the end of the bridge, which was almost at the mainland, to find that the 5 remaining workers were on the ground, bleeding. What's this? Tazuna exclaimed, rushing up to one of them, the only one who seemed to be awake. What happened? The monster, the worker muttered, gritting his teeth in pain, just as a thick mist rolled in. Here they come, Kakashi said, as Tazuna backed up, and the ninja took up a defensive formation around him. Kakashi-sensei, this is Zabuza's Kurigaku no Jutsu, Hinata mumbled, activating her Byakugan. Long time no see, Kakashi, came Zabuza's voice through the mist. I see you're still with those brats. He's shaking again, poor kid. He was referring to Sasuke, who was shivering, as a large group of Zabuza clones appeared around them. Sasuke gave a small grin, as his Sharingan activated. I'm just so damn excited to see you again, Sasuke said, which made Kakashi smile. Good, Sasuke. Sasuke gripped his, and pulled it out of his sheath, moving so fast that he had only just barely unsheathed the sword when he reached the first Zabuza clone. Before the water from the first clone had even splashed to the ground, Sasuke reappeared in his original spot, all of the clones exploding, as he slowly sheathed him. I don't know if anyone's ever told you, Zabuza, but you're a real drip, Sasuke jokes, but then froze, and palmed his face. Damn it, I've been hanging around Naruto too much. He saw through the water clones, came Zabuza's voice, as the mist cleared slightly to show Zabuza, and that fake hunter nin standing on the bridge. It looks like a rival has appeared, eh, Haku? Indeed it does, the hunter nin, Haku, said with a nod. It seems our suspicion was right on the mark, Kakashi commented, appearing to be the epitome of calmness, as always. That masked one, he's obviously Zabuza's comrade, standing right next to him, and all. I'll fight him, Sasuke said, narrowing his eyes. Took us with that stupid Act 1 hate bastards like that. The third most. Third? Kakashi asked, blinking. Second is Naruto when he's cranky. First is you when you're late. That caused Kakashi to swear drop. An impressive young man, Haku spoke, ignoring their conversation. Even though the water clones only have 1/10 of the original strength, still very impressive. But we have gained the first advantage, Zabuza said. Go. Yes. Haku started spinning incredibly fast, and shot forward. Sasuke tensed, and did the same, unsheathing him again. The two clashed halfway, Sasuke smirking. Oh, nice speed. However, it's nothing my Sharingan cannot see, the Uchiha said. In all honesty, Haku was rather slow, compared to Naruto's Mokuta ninjutsu, which moved at incredible speed. Hinata, it's not the most glamorous assignment in a fight, but stay in front of Tazuna, and protect him, Kakashi said. We'll let Sasuke handle the kid. Yes, sensei. Hinata said, nodding with determination. Ho, it seems our training has paid off, Sasuke said, demonstrating how Haku's strength was nowhere near his own, by turning his head to look at Hinata, not even appearing bothered by the Senbon-wielding ninja pushing against him. There wasn't even a tremble in your voice just now. Good work, Hinata, he praised, before turning back to Haku, who raised his hand in a half-ram seal. I don't want to have to kill you, but you won't stand down, will you? Haku asked, which made Sasuke scoff. Don't be foolish. I see, but you won't be able to keep up with my speed the next time. Plus, I've already gained 2 advantages. 2 advantages? Sasuke repeated. The first is the water on the ground. And the second is that I have occupied one of your arms. You will now only be able to run from my attacks. Sasuke's eyes whitened when Haku started forming seals with only one hand, ending in a half-ram seal again. The water around them suddenly rose into the air and formed needles, which all flew straight towards Sasuke. Despite the impending danger, however, Sasuke just smirked at Haku. How foolish. With that, the needles all pierced his body, as Haku jumped away. Sasuke! Kakashi yelled, his eyes wide upon seeing the water needles piercing his student's body, while Zabuza just chuckled. Everyone's eyes widened in shock, however, when Sasuke exploded in a puff of smoke. Kage Bunshin! Haku whispered in surprise. He tensed and spun around suddenly, just in time to cop a kick to the face, courtesy of Sasuke. Sasuke's ankle impacted with the mask, perfectly hucking his foot around Haku's head, which allowed him to carry the ninja with him during his spin kick and send him flying back towards Zabuza. I can't have you underestimating my team by calling them brats, Kakashi said to the shocked Kiri ninja, after quickly recovering from his own shock. Sasuke is Konoha's Rookie of the Year, Hinata is a Hyuga, the #1 Kunoichi of her graduating class, and the other is Uzumaki Naruto, wielder of the Mokuta Ninjutsu bloodline. Zabuza, however, just started chuckling. Haku, do you realize that at this rate we'll be driven back? Yeah, we can't have that, Haku said, as the air suddenly grew cold, while the ninja put his hands in a strange seal Sasuke had never seen before. Kijutsu. Makuhaushu, secret technique. Demonic ice mirrors. The water on the ground around Sasuke suddenly rose up to form plates of water, which froze and took on an appearance akin to that of a mirror. The mirrors rose up and formed a dome around Sasuke, who looked around with an annoyed look on his face. Mix element bloodline. TCH, I hate those. Mostly because he wouldn't be able to copy it, even if his Sharingan were to evolve to its most complete form. Haku moved over to one of the mirrors and stepped into it. How he managed to fit in there, Sasuke had no idea. The wonders of chakra, he supposed. In any case, Haku could be seen standing inside the mirror, but then, just as Sasuke was about to smash it, an image of Haku appeared in every single one of the mirrors surrounding him. Well then, shall we begin? Haku asked. I'll show you my real speed. Sasuke saw it coming in slow motion. Haku shot out of one of the mirrors and headed right for him. However, unfortunately his body was not as quick to react as his eyes, and he had barely managed to raise his arms before the shoulder of his shirt was torn and a cut appeared in his flesh. Then came another attack, and another, all of them too fast for Sasuke to properly react to. Sasuke? He heard Kakashi's voice from outside the dome as he covered his head with his arms. Sasuke-kun. Hinata yelled, and Sasuke looked up to see Hinata throwing a kunai at one of the mirrors. However, Haku came halfway out of the mirror and caught it with ease. This was good, however, as it forced him to stop the attacks on Sasuke, who took this time to think things through. His speed is greater than mine, this it obviously moves partly into space-time territory. Is he hitching a ride on the light reflecting off the mirrors? TCH, too many theories, and not enough data, and I don't particularly fancy getting hit again just to find out more, he thought, closing his eyes and thinking hard. Think I can take off my weights, but even then, I doubt I'd be fast enough. In here, I'm like a sitting duck. I can't try to run, even if I create a bunch of Kage Bunshin. Besides, my chakra stores aren't nearly as large as Naruto's, so I can't waste chakra on clones that will probably be killed. Anyway, if only Hinata hadn't been forced to protect Izuna, she could have attacked from the outside. While I attacked from the inside. Now then, Haku's voice snapped him out of his thoughts, and he opened his eyes to see Haku in the mirrors again. Shall we continue? Sasuke screwed his eyes shut and waited for the pain. However, the only thing he noticed was a tremor in the ground, and then a heavy thud. He opened his eyes again, and looked to the right, to see a wooden pole sticking out of the ground, and behind it was Haku, sprawled on the ground. Before Sasuke could recover from his surprise, Haku shot to his feet, and dashed back into the mirror. Interesting you have there, came Naruto's voice from outside the dome, and Sasuke hated to admit it, but he had never before been so relieved to hear it. A higher ninjutsu bloodline technique, utilizing not only nature manipulation, but also moving into space-time ninjutsu territory. Water and wind mix to become ice. It allows you to move from mirror to mirror at the speed of light, wherever the light from your mirror can reflect. To cope with the speed, it also improves your senses. To you, it must look like everything around you is moving in slow motion. Thanks for watching my video, sayonara.